Now this is one hell of a list. Welcome back everyone to more from the Sableyes. I'm Mitch and today we're going to take a look at Salazard. That's Salamence VMAX with Charizard VMAX. We fit two VMAXs into the same deck. I wasn't quite sure what Pokemon I should put in the top left corner, but I've gone with Salamence since it's the first Pokemon on the ticket, so we may as well call it that, I guess. What we'll do is we'll jump over to PTCGO and check out this deck to see how we're going to try to combine these two VMAXs. So here is our 60 card list for Salazard. I really should call it Charamence because there's more Charizards than Salamence in this list, but that's beside the point. This deck is a really fun deck to play, and it can do a lot of things. So let's firstly talk about our Salamence line. We've got Salamence VMAX, which has Sonic Double for 1 colorless energy, does 40 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, can be benched or in the active, and it also has Max Wings for 4 energy, that's all colorless, 240 damage, and then we can't use Max Wings again next turn. Now, that's a pretty strong Pokemon, and we've featured this deck already on the channel. We've seen Porygon Z and Electromance in our pre-release testing. We're going to see those two decks again at some point in the future. But I wanted to try this one out first. We can also use the Baby Salamence, the Salamence V, with Swoop Across or Heavy Storm in this deck, because we've got access to Welder. Welder can attach 2 fire energies from our hand to this Salamence, and then we just attach 1 more, and suddenly Swoop Across is an option. It means that we can do 30 damage to all of our opponent's Pokemon, which makes some matchups really easy to deal with. And one thing that Swoop Across or even the Sonic Double attack can do as it can make knockouts really easy for Charizard VMAX. Charizard VMAX for 3 fire and a double colorless has the attack G-Max Wildfire for 300 damage. We discard 2 energy from the Pokemon, but that's fine. We're probably going to discard our copies of triple acceleration energy anyway. And what that means is we're doing 300 damage to pretty much everything, and if it's already had 30 damage dealt to it, then even VMAX Pokemon are likely to be knocked out. The only Pokemon that won't get knocked out have 340 HP, things like Eternatus VMAX. But hey, Sonic Double does 40 damage to 2 Pokemon, so if we can just get 40 damage onto 2 Eternatuses, then we can potentially just win the game straight away with a Charizard VMAX, which incidentally they won't be able to one-shot in return. So it's a really cool concept. I think this deck's actually pretty solid, and I'm really enjoying playing it on the ladder. The good thing about it being a Welder deck is, as well, we can use a couple of other attackers. We have 2 Baby Volcanion with Flare Starter and High Heat Blast. This card is really good for dealing with Decidueye, which has seen some recent success. Flare Starter, also a really good attack for when you go second on your first turn. You can attach up to 3 fire energy from your deck to your Pokemon in any way you like, which is very powerful. Helps you power up your attackers. And we also have 1 copy of Victini V as well. Energy Burst is a really strong counter to Zamazenta, which lots of decks that feature Zacian are starting to play. So Energy Burst can deal 30 times the amount of energy attached to both Pokemon. It's going to be 3, 6 on us, plus 9, 12, 150 on the fully charged Zamazenta V, which means that we can take a knockout pretty easily. Apart from that, the deck is, you know, all about making sure that we can find Welders quickly. We've got Jirachis, we've got a copy of Dedenne, we've got a copy of Crobat V as well, and also a copy of an Eldegoss V, which means that we can find our Welders from the discard pile. We play 4 of them, so we shouldn't have too much trouble finding them, but every now and then it can be a little bit awkward, so Eldegoss can be very strong. We also play 2 Professor's Research. It's not necessarily our supporter of choice. We can potentially use it if we want. Maybe we're going looking for a VMAX or something like that for our Salamence. That could be the case. So we've got a couple of research options there, and 3 copies of Boss's Orders as well, because obviously we need to take knockouts on specific targets. We're relying on this Sonic Double taking 2 knockouts on VMAXs after the G-Max Wildfires have gone through, so that Boss's Orders is going to be quite important. We also try to make sure that we've got enough access to energy with 3 Giant Hearth and 2 copies of Fire Crystal. We only have 9 fire energy after all, and that's pretty low for a Welder deck, so we want to make sure that we can find them. We also have 4 copies of Quick Ball and 4 copies of Pokemon Communication, because we've got a lot of Pokemon that we need to find, and there's a couple of very specific ones that we need on specific turns as well. Finally, we've got our switch outs. We've got 4 switches and 3 scoop up nets in order to get our Jirachis out of the active. We can also scoop up our Volcanions or just switch in and out between our other Pokemon as well. Like I mentioned, Salamence VMAX and Charizard is a really, really cool combination. You wouldn't think that 2 VMAX Pokemon could work so well together, but these two definitely can. Thank you to those players in Japan who have been testing this type of list, and to Blake for bringing it to my attention. It's a pretty solid one that I've had a lot of fun with on the ladder. I'll jump into a couple of games now and show you how it works. Alrighty, into our first game on the ladder here with our Charizard VMAX, Salamence VMAX deck. We've lost the coin flip, but that's not too bad because we don't really mind. If we go first, that's fine. If we go second, which you would expect that most of the time you would, you're more than happy to do that as well. Obviously, it's a little bit awkward sometimes because you want to go second so you can use Welder, but you also don't want to go second because you want to make sure that you've got an opportunity to evolve into your VMAXs. So it's kind of like an awkward trade-off. You don't really mind which way you go. It looks like our opponent is electing to start here, which means our Volcanion in our hand is a really, really strong option. We also have the option to use either of our Vs as well in this starting hand. We've got Salamence V and Charizard V available to us. So whatever we end up playing against, we can make our decision about what the best VMAX is going to be and move on from there. Looks like our opponent just choosing their last benched Pokemon here, and then they'll move on. It looks like we've got Jirachi, Mew, and Elgium, so we could be looking at like a Behemoth list here. This is very interesting. That Mew could potentially be quite frustrating, especially if we do opt to go for Salamence VMAX, because we won't be able to get the extra damage from our 40 snipes. We'll only be able to do it to the active, so it might potentially be worth utilizing Charizard V here, although to be fair, we are going to probably find that our opponent plays things like Pokemon, Pokédoll, what is it, Lily's Pokédoll? Lily's Clefairy? I can't remember what it's called. And that has 30 HP, which means that maybe Swoop Across from Salamence V could be a strong option. Now, this is another post-rotation list, because pre-rotation list, because obviously the Jirachi has the escape board on it, so it might not necessarily be a super fair reflection here. What we'll do is we'll Giant Hearth, and we'll get rid of probably this Pokemon Communication to grab a couple of Fire Energy. We want to be able to Welder to this Salamence V. Hopefully we can find like a switch or something like that, because I'd love to get that first attack off, but it's not going to happen. Instead, we'll just attach to this Volcanion, chuck down Charizard V, and look at this. We've got 6 energy in play on our first turn. We've got Salamence V almost powered up. We've got Charizard V on its way. Look at this. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Now we've got the option to use Salamence V next turn, and Charizard V after that. We can potentially evolve into the VMAX as well, which would be really, really nice. Our Giant Hearth should stay in play as well. We could potentially boss that Mew next turn, use High Heat Blast, knock it out, and then maybe we can swoop across, start taking some knockouts. Looks like our opponent is going to lock our items here because they've got a Behemoth and a triple acceleration energy, which is a little frustrating. But it's not the end of the world. They've got an Elgium here, so they've got the opportunity to maybe start looping them. And a Stellar Wish from Jirachi. What do they find? Pokédoll, there you go. Lily's Pokédoll, 30 HP, so that's going to be a really solid swoop across target once we knock out the Mew. We need to knock the Mew out first. So yeah, I'm thinking that we're just going to, especially like they're going to use their item lock here. They're going to do 90 damage to us with Mysterious Noise. Our Volcanion's not going to get knocked out, so we're going to use Giant Hearth. We'll discard Giant Hearth, get another Fire, and then gust out the Mew, so that we can start using Salamence V, or even Salamence VMAX if we find it, to start taking some knockouts. So I like this play. We can Giant Hearth, I think, away the Pokemon Communication now that we've got 2 of them. We'll grab our last energy, attach it to the Volcanion, and then Gust, and that will give us a prize, as well as free reign to start swooping across, or using dual sound or double sound or whatever I called it before. We've found a Fire Energy off of the prizes as well, which is good. We've got 1 more Fire Energy prize because we've got 9 in total and there's none left in the deck. Our opponent opts to go into Lily's Pokédoll here, which is very interesting. I would have thought they would have just gone straight into Jirachi. They're actually discarding the triple acceleration energy there, which makes you wonder, what do they have in their hand? What could they possibly have in their hand? If it's a supporter, why would you not just... That's another triple acceleration energy. There you go. Very strange that they didn't go for the Jirachi, though. They could have still had that Lily's Pokédoll in hand, or in play, and they could potentially find a supporter off of this Stellar Wish. So, it's a very strange choice. They're just grabbing another Pokédoll here. I think our opponent's about to be on a 0-card hand, which is awkward to say the very least. It might actually just be worth us taking a knockout on this Jirachi next turn. Now, they will get a knockout with Mysterious Noise, but I think that we might just put the Charizard... Oh no, they're going to promote the Lily's Pokédoll. Okay, so I was about to say. I was just wishful thinking, trying to get that Jirachi in the active. Lily's Pokédoll comes in, so it's going to be fine. We will just swoop across, I think. That's probably the best thing to do. Just wait for them to take their single prize, and then we can start attacking. And we've done almost nothing this game, and we've got 2 powered attackers, and we're ready to swoop across, which is great. Just waiting on that last prize to be taken, and then we can get going. This is very frustrating. If you're the type of person that just sits there waiting for your prizes to be taken, hoping that your opponent will quit before you end up losing, then that's bad news bears. And I'm not saying that that's what Volfin is doing, but it's taken him a long time to take a single prize. That's all I'm saying. Alrighty. We've got a Fire Energy we can attach to the Charizard and a Concession. Okay, cool. We'll play another one, won't we? Into another one now. Let's see if we can't get another victory. Oh, pardon me. We've won the coin flip. We're going to go second, because we want to get that Fire Energy accelerated nice and quickly with Volcanion or with Welder. This is not an ideal start for us, but we do have access to a mulligan, so that's not bad at all. Looks like our opponent playing some sort of fire deck here. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be. Not sure, but it could be anything. Oh, Reshizard. That is not what I was expecting. Reshiram and Charizard Tag Team GX. And this is actually going to be very interesting. It could be an opportunity for our Charizard VMAX to show its strength, because we'll be able to come in and take a one-shot, whereas our opponent won't. And they've actually done nothing but attach energy there, and we've top-decked into a Welder. So what do we do? What do we do? We could potentially get an attack off, but if we do get an attack off, we risk our opponent taking a knockout on us. I like the idea of grabbing either Salamence or Charizard. I think Charizard's the right option here, because I want to take a one-shot at some point, but I definitely think that it's right to Welder to the Charizard now, because it gives us the best chance of winning the game next turn if our opponent doesn't do anything. Now we will Welder 2 energy to that Charizard and then draw. None of those cards are super ideal. I found another Welder as well, but that's not really that helpful unless we have a VMAX. So we might just pass. Not ideal, but you know, if we get a little bit lucky, maybe an energy off of the top deck and or a Giant Hearth from our opponent. I'm just saying, that could be helpful. Now we don't need to worry about that, because we can find something, anything, off of the Jirachi, and then use the Giant Hearth. That's a really strange call as well. I mean, they obviously need the energy, but they know that I've got a Welder in hand. They literally saw me just take it. So it's a bold play, Cotton. We'll see if that one pays off. This time, I don't think we're going to be able to use Jirachi. Looks like they are going to take a knockout on that Jirachi with the Heatran here with Switch, so they'll be able to get that KO. But, you know, we've got access to Charizard V, and here's the thing. All we need to do is Welder 2 energy to this Charizard, and we can take a knockout on Heatran, so we don't even need to find the VMAX. What I will do is I'll play this V that we've just seen, the Salamence, put that into play. We'll discard the Victini, because we probably won't need that, and then Welder to the active. That will at least allow us to Fire Spin, which I really like the sound of. We've not found a Charizard VMAX here. We've got another Charizard V though, and that's okay. Let's Fire Spin. We'll just Fire Spin here, take the knockout. We'll take 2 prizes. Obviously, having to burn 2 Fire Energy is not ideal, but it could be worse. And we've found a Jirachi and a Giant Hearth off of the prize card. So, not useful, but not terrible. It looks like our opponent now in a pretty dire situation. They've got 1 energy on a Reshizard and a fresh Reshi on the bench. Looks like we are going to see a Dedenne coming down as well, which I'm not opposed to seeing. They've just gotten rid of a lot of good cards there. They have managed to find Welder, and that's pretty much all that they were looking for. They can't get a knockout, though, I don't think. I don't think it's possible for them to get a knockout on this Charizard, because they've already attached So the most damage they can do is 200, and that would be just such a waste. You don't really want to see that. Here comes the Outrage just for 30, so they'll set up to take a potential knockout next turn. And this is an interesting situation to be in, because we can evolve into Salamence here. Oh, we can attach the Fire Energy to the Salamence VMAX, and then put 40 on both Vulpix and the Jirachi, and that will mean that we can potentially get 2 more prizes next turn with another Sonic double. I think that's the right way to go, because I want to save these energies on Charizard so that when we find another Welder, we can Welder, attach triple acceleration, and then use the VMAX to attack. So I think this is okay. What we might do is we'll attach, we will switch into the VMAX, and then we could potentially even boss out something like the Dedenne, or even the other Reshizard, to be fair, and then we'll Sonic double. We'll put 4 on both of the Vulpix and the Jirachi and set those up for knockouts next turn. Although, to be fair, I probably could have and should have put a 40 tick onto the active now that I'm thinking about it, because next turn we could have just knocked it out with max swings. Okay, well, you live and you learn. Hopefully we don't get too badly punished for this. Let's watch me get badly punished for this. Worst case scenario, I take 2 prizes next turn with the Sonic double on the Vulpix and the Jirachi, and then the Charizard VMAX comes in to win the game from there. Looks like Reset Stamp coming out from our opponent. We'll shuffle our hand down to 4, but oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Welder double energy with a research as well. That sounds pretty good. And they've double Blaze GX'd into us for some reason. That seems very strange. And another energy. Huh, so if we had have gone for it, we could have taken the knockout. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. I'm thinking that Weldering onto Charizard V with the 30 damage on it is probably the right call. Although, to be fair, it could very easily just get knocked out. Although, now that I'm thinking about it, if we find the VMAX, it survives forever. So that's welded to it, and see if we can't find the VMAX. We can't. We can attach to the V, though, the Charizard V on the bench. And then I think we just Sonic double. We'll take out 2 prizes and hope that our Charizard doesn't get knocked out. Worst case scenario, if the Charizard doesn't get knocked out, then we can at least use our Salamence V to take a knockout. There's a Charizard VMAX. So that's pretty much exactly what we're looking for. If they just decide to attack the Salamence VMAX here, we win the game. We've got the Triple Excel, we've got the Charizard VMAX, we've got everything we need to just take one last knockout. Going for a Dedenne here, trying to draw into something. Don't know exactly what it is they're looking for. Maybe a Gust or a Reset Stamp. That could be very, very powerful. So Reset Stamp down to 2. And we have found... Oh my goodness. Okay, so I think that just wins us the game, right? Pokemon VMAX. Yeah, because we can just search for the Charizard and then whatever energy... whatever card, sorry, we top deck, we can just get energy with Giant Hearth. So we win the game. So we just... Okay, well we don't need a Giant Hearth because we've got triple acceleration energy. That's fine. We'll use Pokemon Communication to find the VMAX, evolve the Charizard, use the last card in our hand to attach, and then G-Max Wildfire for 300 damage. That's enough to take 3 prizes. Then we discard our 2 energy. That Triple Excel can go into the bin. Well, there you go. There's the power. They work in combination and actually works. Perfect stuff. I was having so much fun, I thought I'd play one more. We'll see how this one goes. We've won the coin flip again. So we will go second. We'll elect to go second. And we have managed to start Jirachi. I don't mind that at all. This seems fine. I don't know what our opponent's playing. They've got a Eternatus deck box and no sleeves. So they're not helping us out too much here. Just thinking about those benched Pokemon for our opponent. That's going to be all for us. And we'll see. Ooh, Zacian. Okay, so this could very easily be one of like 3 decks. It could be like ADP Zacian. It could be Lucametal Zacian, or it could be like Turbo Zacian with Zamazenta. And if it's Turbo Zacian with Zamazenta, we might need to keep that Victini V in mind. Even so, if it is Zacian V, we might need to keep Victini V in mind, because lots of ADP Zacian lists are playing Zamazenta now. So, we'll see. Good thing is, though, that Zacian at the moment is very easy for us to knock out, especially this one with the air balloon on it. That's going to be 2 prizes at some point very comfortably. They're quick balling here, discarding a Metal Energy for an ADP. So we're playing ADP Zacian here. They're going to try and set themselves up for a turn 1 GX attack. They'll probably attach an energy here. They're going for a turbo patch. Okay. Tails. That's no good for them. And then just an Intrepid Sword. I wonder why they didn't just attach to the ADP. You had an energy in hand. Why would you just not? I don't know. Okay, we've got a ton of stuff to do here. We've got Giant Hearth. We've got Quick Balls. We've got Scoop Up Nets. We've got pretty much everything that we need to get going. I think the right move here is going to be to grab a Volcanion. We will need to find another Pokemon to accelerate to, though, and I'm thinking that the Charizard V is going to be the option. But do we go for Dedenne first? Or do we just go the Quick Ball for the Volcanion now? This is a tough one because I will 100% punished if I go for Crobat, but I want to use the Crobat. So let's use Crobat. We'll see what we can do. I think that I want... okay. That was a weird moment. But we've got the Volcanion here if we want it. So let's Pokecom away the Jirachi and grab ourselves that Volcanion. We can use our Stellar Wish now, which is really good. Grab ourselves Professor's Research or Switch or Fire Crystal. All these cards seem fine. We're going to need to discard something, though. I think that the Research might be the best option, just because we're going to draw some more cards with Welder. We'll probably use the Giant Hearth to get rid of the Pokemon communication, because we don't really need that. Then play down the Volcanion and Welder. I think we just Welder for one. I don't think we need to Welder for both here, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but we only really need one energy attached to this Volcanion, and I don't want to lose energy. So let's switch into... Oh no, we'll Scoop Up Net. Scoop Up Net instead. We'll switch into... we can switch out of the Volcanion, sorry, into something else. We could potentially play the Jirachi down, but I don't think it's worth doing. I think we just chuck down the energy onto the Charizard and then Flare Starter. The best thing to do here... I will put the Jirachi down. I lied to myself. I'm a liar. The best thing to do here is to try and get as many energy on this Charizard V as possible. Make it as difficult for our opponent to knock out. And now that we've got the extra energy on the Volcanion, we're threatening the High Heat Blast as well, which I really, really like. They've gone for the second Turbo Patch here, so this looks to be a coin flippy ADPZ list, which has become quite popular over the last week or so. A big charm coming down onto the ADP as well, and that's really annoying, because now our Charizard VMAX can't just knock it out in one shot, which is really, really sad, but that's okay. It means that we'll either do 300 damage to it and leave ourselves in a good position for later, or we'll do a little bit of damage with High Heat Blast and then move on with our lives. They've used Bird Keeper here, very popular card at the moment. Still no energy attachment to ADP though. So they'll probably use a Quick Ball to find a Crobat or a Dedenne and try and draw into an Energy and an Energy Switch. They need Water Energy and Energy Switch to get the GX attack off in this turn. Oh, a Melodic as well. That's very frightening. We're probably going to want to take a knockout on that at some point. Melodic obviously able to take easy knockouts on Charizard VMAX. But we do have the secret weapon. We've got the Salamence V and the Salamence VMAX in the deck as well, so it's not going to be an auto win for them with that Melodic, but it's definitely going to make it a little bit easier. So I don't really want them to be able to use it. If I can take a knockout on it before I do anything else, then I will. This Quick Ball taking a little bit of time here. I don't know what it is that they're looking for exactly. They've already got the Dedenne in hand. Maybe they're just going to use this Quick Ball to thin out an ADP or something like that. Just make it so that it's easy for them to not draw into bad cards later on. Grabbing Eldegoss. Interesting choice. Interesting choice. They've already supported, haven't they? Surely. Using Eldegoss. For Bird Keep. Yeah, they Bird Keep it this turn. Are you about to not the Dedenne to hold this Eldegoss? Are you serious? What is happening, guys? Guys, what is happening? What is our opponent doing? Are they just going to pass again? Are they going to give us another turn to set up? If they give us another turn to set... They're giving us another turn to set up. This is perfect. Okay, so now I'm more than happy to just High Heat Blast this thing. We've got a Salamence V as well, which is really, really cool. We can play that down if we'd like. My gut feeling here is play down the Salamence V and then research. That seems like a solid option. I mean, we don't even need to research, though, if we don't want to. We can just High Heat Blast and hold this hand. Because they're eventually going to take a knockout, and we've got the switch. But I feel like if we don't research now, we never will. Let's burn some cards and try and have a look. If we grab out one fight... No, we'll get both. We'll get both. We'll use the Eldegoss to get the Welder back. This is a better play. Because now we can set up a second attacker as well, and still have access to the research. This is a better play. This is a better play. Now we can High Heat Blast, we can put 110 damage onto the ADP, and if they choose to knock out one of our Vs, maybe they gust and get a knockout with a Zacian, then we can follow up with the other one, so that's perfect. And if they do choose to use their GX attack, then we can just take a knockout with a Pokemon that they can't knock out in one shot. So we are on the way to winning this game. In fact, I'd say that we've already won it. It's just a matter of time now. Because even if they choose to GX, then they're not taking a knockout, which means we knock them out and they've got no energy left, right? Because they're going to need to use the energy that's on the Zacian to get the GX attack off. If they choose to knock us out with Zacian, then sure, they take 2 prizes, but we then knock them out and all of their energy with them, which makes it very, very difficult for them to be able to do anything next turn, because they need to Turbo Patch and Metal Saucer to get an attack off. I think this is perfect. Now, what they've done here is they've used Birdkeeper to go into Eldegoss, being like, I am not going to get knocked out. My ADP is not going to get knocked out. I'm going to attach an energy to ADP and then I'm going to pass. But I could just gust out that ADP and take a knockout with Salamence VMAX or Charizard VMAX if I find either of them. Or I could just knock out the Eldegoss. That's also fine. And they still haven't attached another energy. This could be really, really bad for our opponent. In fact, I probably shouldn't even show this game because at this point, oh my god, they've attached a Zacian. At this point, it is pretty much lost. Like, this game is pretty much over. Because right here now, I don't even need to gust up the ADP. I can just gust up the Zacian and take the knockout with High Heat Blast. They've put another energy on it as well. Okay, yep, no, we're going to gust that. Give me that Zacian. Num 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 prizes. High Heat Blast, but don't even really need to do anything else. 220 damage, that seems pretty perfect to me, and we've taken the first 2 prizes of the game. Good thing we didn't burn that hand away with the research. We could have potentially found ourselves in a really awkward spot. Now, we've got a Dedenne here, we've got a triple acceleration energy. The only thing we're missing is a VMAX with which to attack. I'd really like to see that by the end of this turn. Although, to be fair, if we do find a fire energy, we can just attach it to Charizard and attack with Fire Spin. Is it Fire Spin? It's Fire Spin. They've finally got the energy on the ADP. They've finally got 2 energy in play. Have they got energy switch to GX? Surely they do. Surely they do. You're going to sit here and tell me that ADP doesn't have energy switch. Thank you very much. Now they're going to GX, but this just gives us another chance to take a knockout. We can potentially just research this hand away. Like, we can switch into the Charizard V, research the hand away. All we need to do is find a fire energy, and we can take a knockout. Best case scenario, we find a VMAX and a triple XL, and we take the knockout. Even better, we find a VMAX off of the top deck, and that way we don't need to worry about anything. But yeah, they're setting up the GX attack here. It's only the 4th turn, so it's a little bit late. We've used a couple of resources. 2 Pokemon Communication are gone, so the chances of us finding one of those are pretty slim. They're chucking down a Big Charm onto the Melodic. That doesn't really matter, because that Melodic's never going to have enough energy on it to attack anymore anyway. Now that they have an Ultimate Raid, you know, like last turn. Oh boy. Oh boy. You know your opponent's taking a long time in between moves when you're yawning. There's the Altered Creation. Oh, a VMAX. Wrong VMAX, but acceptable VMAX. Let's attack with this VMAX. Like, I mean, I don't mind attacking with this VMAX at all. So we'll Quick Ball, get rid of the Charizard, whatever. We'll just grab a Jirachi out. We don't need that. And then I think now is the time to research, because now we give ourselves the best chance to find the Charizard. And we got the triple acceleration energy as well. So we are set and ready to go. We could potentially evolve the Charizard right now. We've got the boss's orders as well for next turn. We've got the Scoop Up Net. We've got energy. We've got pretty much everything. Max Wings, take 3 prizes on ADP. And now our opponent has nothing to do. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the deck's really good because it beats ADP, because we didn't just beat ADP, we beat a guy who didn't do anything for 3 turns. But I think the fact that it could potentially take a knockout on an ADP very early with a G-Max Charizard is a big, big deal. A really big deal. Now, the Melodic's in the active, but that doesn't matter, because even if we didn't have the Scoop Up Net and the Welder and all those kinds of things to get another attack with the Salamence VMAX, and we could just attack with the Charizard anyway. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good, if you ask me. They've not got a lot to do. Even if... There's no way they could possibly win. There's nothing they can do. I'm very excited about this deck. I shouldn't be. I mean, we've not beaten anything really with it, but it's a lot of fun. Oh, Boss's Orders. This is going to be really awkward for them because they're going to gust up something. Oh, Volcanion. That's got 2 energy on it, so we can already retreat it. We could gust up the Zacian and win the game with the Volcanion in the active if we want to. So that's easy. I wonder what the point of doing that was. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. That is one good deck to play. I'm really enjoying it, actually. This has probably been the most fun that I've played since I tested Mad Party for the first time. I would definitely recommend it. The list is down in the description, as is links to like Facebook and Twitter and Discord and all those things if you want to join in the conversation. I've got a couple of decks on the back burner. I'm planning on doing something like Inteleon tomorrow, but I know there has been a lot of chat in the comments about seeing ADP Decidueye. If we get, let's say 75 likes on this video, then I will do ADP Decidueye tomorrow. I'll do that deck tomorrow. 75 likes, and we get that deck for you. Otherwise, you have to deal with something like Inteleon, and that's okay too, because that's a pretty solid deck. Also, if you want to subscribe to the channel and you haven't already done so, then please click the button that's above the Sableye head. On the left are some videos that YouTube thinks you'll like, and on the right we have our playlist for more Darkness Ablaze testing. Thanks everyone for coming along, and we'll see you next time for more from the Sableyes. Bye.